The controversy surrounding the government's takeover of public media in Poland continues as Bartłomiej Sienkiewicz, the Minister of Culture and National Heritage, faces legal challenges. Constitutional experts argue that the takeover violates the constitution, with the company registry court refusing to enter the liquidation of Polish television and Polish radio into the register. The court's decision is inconsistent with 11 other regional registrars who have given different rulings on similar cases. Despite legal setbacks, the ruling party, the Civic Platform, is determined to proceed with its plan, emphasising the need for the government to control media entities. Critics argue that Sienkiewicz's actions undermine the independence of public media and violate democratic principles. The court's refusal to register the liquidators suggests that the legal basis for the government's takeover is questionable. While Civic Platform maintains its commitment to restructuring public media, experts and opposition figures claim that the government's intentions are either illegal as an attempt at liquidation or a sham. Legal experts warn of potential criminal responsibility for exceeding powers and causing damage to public media. The controversy has broader implications for media freedom and the role of public media in democratic societies. The Law and Justice government's efforts to assert control over media outlets sparked concerns about the erosion of democratic norms and the rule of law in Poland when they were in power. Minister Sienkiewicz broke the constitution, but of course, what does this violation of the constitution comprise? All bodies act on the basis of and within the limits of the law, and the Minister of Culture has no such basis.
Pan minister kultury takiej podstawy nie miał.
It should be pointed out here that for this, criminal charges could be laid. Adrian Borecki, Republic Television. We take a look now at some breaking news regarding the two Law and Justice deputies who were jailed by the new Polish government. Yesterday, shortly after 8 p.m, Mariusz Kamiński was taken to the Radom Hospital emergency ward because of serious health problems. After tests were carried out later today, he was transferred from the hospital back to the Radom detention centre. Doctors, with the approval of the court, have decided that he will now be force-fed. With health and life at risk, every moment is at a premium. Due to the deterioration of Mariusz Kamiński's health, the court authorised his forced feeding. The doctor was said to have informed the court that the most inhumane method had been chosen, by means of a probe through the nose, despite the fact that he had agreed to be fed by IV. He said he would not negotiate on the matter because of my father's political views. There was a turnaround in the case today, however, and Bodnar, the Prosecutor General, finally delivered his opinion regarding the pardon that the President had given both deputies back in 2015. The response was negative. Bodnar does not consider the pardon to apply. In addition, Bodnar has refused even to allow for a temporary stay of execution of their imprisonment. In response, the President has today issued a fresh presidential pardon to both Mariusz Kamiński and Maciej Wąsik. He issued this statement this evening accompanied by the wives of the jailed deputies, appealing to the Justice Minister to follow the laws of the Republic of Poland. The file came back to me today from the Ministry of Justice, along with the opinion of the Attorney General, Minister Bodnar, and the negative opinion on the subject of clemency. Nevertheless, this opinion is there. The procedure has been completed. Therefore, I want to say that the decision on the right of pardon has been issued. The gentlemen are pardoned. I confirm this with all my might. Therefore, appeals to the Minister and the Prosecutor General to immediately implement the order of the President of the Republic of Poland and therefore immediately to release both ministers from criminal confinement has been made. While Poland is struggling with the conflict between the former ruling Conservative Law and Justice Party and the newly elected leftist Civic Platform Party, popular German parties are settling their own disputes. Germany's Constitutional Court announced today that state funding may be cut off to the successor party to the far-right NPD, even though it is not banned. This is a landmark ruling which adds fuel to a debate about whether the nationalist AfD could also be penalised. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz addressed the decision at a press conference today. The ruling is, of course, something we will very carefully look at and what it tells us in another context that could be of interest to us. But for now, the ruling was announced and it's a confirmation for the course that enemies of freedom must not be granted a lot of legroom. The court in Karlsruhe justified its decision by saying the National Democratic Party and its successor, Die Heimat, aimed to impair or eliminate the country's democratic system. The Bundestag, lower house, the Bundesrat, upper house, and the government had applied to the court to end funding after Germany's basic law was changed to prevent radical parties from receiving state funds to which other parties are entitled. The ruling is being closely watched as mainstream politicians struggle to respond to resurgent support for the far-right Alternative for Germany, second in most polls with support of around 22%. Russian missile strikes hit Kiev and other Ukrainian cities, killing at least 7 people and causing damage to energy infrastructure as the conflict between Russia and Ukraine enters its third year. The strikes damaged apartment buildings, medical facilities and educational institutions in Kiev, with some damage reported near the United Nations office. In Kharkiv, the eastern city, the death toll reached 6, with over 100 high-rise buildings damaged. 3 people were killed and 42 wounded as apartment buildings were hit. Rescue efforts were underway to find survivors amid damaged structures. The city's mayor reported 30 apartment buildings affected and a gas pipeline was damaged. Ukraine's Air Force claimed to have destroyed 21 out of 41 missiles fired by Russia. Regular airstrikes on cities and civilian infrastructure have been a part of Russia's nearly 2-year war in Ukraine. Russia did not immediately comment on the recent attack. Russia has regularly targeted cities and civilian infrastructure since its invasion in February 2022, causing extensive damage far beyond the front lines. The Kremlin has stated that the Russian military does not intentionally target civilians when striking targets in Ukraine. However, Ukraine's Air Force reported destroying 21 out of 41 missiles fired by Russia, with nearly 20 shot down over Kiev. The use of a mix of air and land-based missiles by Russian forces has made defense challenging for Ukraine. Ukrainian officials in Sumy reported critical infrastructure damage from a missile strike in Shostka. The conflict continues to escalate, with Ukraine calling for more advanced air defense systems from Western allies, as it faces increasing challenges in defending itself. The Russian Defense Ministry claimed to have struck enterprises producing missiles, explosives, and ammunition. In a significant escalation of the Israel-Gaza conflict, 24 Israeli soldiers lost their lives, marking the deadliest day for Israel in the continuing conflict with Hamas. The casualties occurred as Israeli forces surrounded Khan Yunis, Gaza's main southern city, effectively trapping Palestinian residents attempting to flee the intensifying hostilities. The Israeli military reported that the primary objectives of their campaign against the Hamas movement remained unchanged, emphasizing the release of more than 100 Israeli hostages. The soldiers' deaths were a result of multiple incidents, with 21 killed when buildings prepped for demolition exploded following a militant attack on a nearby tank. An additional 3 soldiers are reported killed in a separate attack. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu conveyed a resolute commitment to continuing to fight until achieving absolute victory in the conflict. We're in the midst of an unjust war. In this war there are great achievements, including today in completing the encirclement of Khan Yunis. But there is also a very heavy price. We bow our heads to the memory of our fallen, and yet we do not for a moment stop striving for an irreplaceable goal, the achievement of absolute victory. Together we will fight, and together we will win. Friends and family attended a funeral in Tel Aviv on Tuesday for an Israeli soldier killed in combat. Sergeant Major Ilay Levy, 24, was killed in the Gaza Strip amid continuing ground operations of the Israeli army against Hamas. Many Israeli citizens are becoming increasingly vocal about their disapproval of Netanyahu's handling of this conflict. Despite media reports suggesting discussions about a potential ceasefire, Israeli government spokesman Eylon Levy dismissed these claims, asserting that the war's goals remained unaltered. These objectives include the destruction of Hamas's governing and military capabilities in Gaza, coupled with the release of all Israeli hostages. Levi underscored that no ceasefire would be accepted if it left hostages in Gaza and allowed Hamas to remain in power. The Israeli Defense Forces intensified their operation by encircling Khan Yunis, Gaza's main southern city, aiming to seize remaining parts of the area. This move further complicated the situation for civilians as Israeli tanks blocked the road leading to the coast, disrupting escape routes for those trying to reach Rafah, the last town on Gaza's southern edge. Palestinian casualties rose significantly, with at least 195 reported dead in a 24-hour period, bringing the documented toll to 25,490. Hospitals in Gaza faced severe challenges, with blockades hindering rescue efforts. The United States and the United Kingdom launched another round of strikes against Houthi rebels in Yemen, targeting 8 Houthi locations in an effort to curb the group's attacks on shipping in the southern Red Sea. The joint statement from the two countries, with support from Australia, Bahrain, Canada and the Netherlands, described the strikes as proportionate and necessary. This marks the 8th time the United States has conducted such strikes this month and the 2nd time the United Kingdom has participated. The strikes utilised fighter jets and ship-launched cruise missiles, targeting missile launchers, air defence systems, radars and weapons storage facilities. The United Kingdom's Ministry of Defence confirmed that 4 RAF Typhoon jets bombed military sites near Sana airfield, which the United Kingdom claims were used to launch attacks on shipping in the Red Sea. The United Kingdom defended the strikes as self-defence responses to Houthi attacks on US and UK warships nearly 2 weeks earlier. No immediate reports of casualties were received, and the United Kingdom emphasised a meticulous planning process to minimise civilian risks. The Houthi rebels, however, affirmed their commitment to resisting Western aggression. Mohammed al-Bukhati, a member of the Houthi ruling council, stated that the attacks would strengthen Yemeni resolve against what he termed American-British aggression. The United States President Joe Biden discussed the situation with British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, emphasising the need to disrupt and degrade Houthi military capabilities. The recent strikes follow earlier efforts by the US and the United Kingdom to halt Houthi attacks on shipping in the Red Sea, with limited success as the rebel group continues to resist. The Houthi movement claims to target Israel and its allies in support of Palestinians in Gaza.